All right, welcome to another episode of the Coaches Show. As always, I'm Cody Eastis, joined by head coach Brent Holting. Coach, another week, another win for your Pratt High Greenbacks. 8-1 on the season now after that big win Friday night, 42-14 in the opening round of the playoffs against Chaparral, a team we'd faced twice. Yeah. We talked about that a few times. Going into that ball game, how did you feel like the kids felt? How'd the coaching staff feel, knowing that those games are tough? You'd said in your career, really it was lopsided in which way those games go.
Yeah, it's really tough. I always felt like you almost had the advantage if you lost the game the first time you played, unless you were, just significantly better. And Chaparral's a solid football team. So because no matter what, human nature, you can tell high school kids all week, like, hey, you got to be ready. They're going to give you their best shot. They're going to make some adjustments. They're going to make life harder on what we did well. And so I thought they did that. Credit to them. They came out with a different look defensively and were really blitzing, really bringing heavy pressure and almost too much for us to pick up. So we had to go to the air, and say, all right, they're giving us that. They're playing a cover 3 behind it. I think we can do some things. And then when Creston got hot, we started rolling.
And he's been hot a couple games now. A great offensive performance for the Greenbacks. Before we dive into those stats, it was a ball game that started off a good matchup. In fact, at one point during the broadcast, we thought it may be a 7-0 ball game going into half, and then within the span of 60 seconds, maybe only 30 seconds off of the game clock, the Greenbacks able to rally off 3 big touchdowns due to some offense, some defense, some special teams, and then take a huge lead into halftime. That you guys go into the halftime 28-7 or 28-0 rather than 7-0. Talk about the closing of that first half.
We always talked about good teams take advantage of their opportunities when they present yourself. We were fortunate early in the game. We threw a couple interceptions. We were able to get stops. But then we got the turnovers in spades there. We got that interception on the throwback screen. We're able to score real fast. We were able to score, then get the interception throwback score, the onside, or not the onside, but the pooch kick, able to score, and 2 of those were one-play drives, and that was awesome going to the half for our kids. Like we said, let's put our foot on their throat and don't give them a chance, and I thought that was huge. We weren't playing great, but then we were able to say, okay, we're just going to throw, open it up. Everybody knew we were throwing. And I thought our pass protection was really good. Creston threw some really good balls, and we were able to we had 3 or 4 different guys catch touchdowns.
Yeah, in the first half. Yeah. Not sure on the first half. Overall, it was spread around the whole night. That pooch kick, going back to that, Tebow has got that perfected on the pooch kick. And are you surprised at all at this point? You guys have done it throughout the season, put it on film. You've shown it that it's effective. Are you surprised that it was open and that teams aren't realizing, hey, if we leave that gap from the 20 to the 40 open, they're going to take advantage of it?
And it's hard because what do you do if you bring your guys way up? Then Levi's capable of kicking it deep, and when you kick it deep and they're that far up, it's hard for them to get back and set a wall. It's a lot harder to get back and set that wedge or that wall, and so it kind of puts teams in a quandary, and teams like, oh, hey, go get it, but you and I know when a game starts and that ball hits and it bounces weird, and are you going to get it? Am I going to get it? That when that pressure ratchets up, those balls are really hard when you kick them right. And Levi's had a bunch this year. He's put in exactly the right place, and our kids have been flying down. Then we'll go get them.
Yeah, that's the other half of the equation is that the offense or the special teams for the Greenbacks there, knowing that it's a race to that spot, and they got to be there. We've seen Caleb Strong get him. I didn't see who recovered that one. Christian able to get that one. So it takes a special player on the Greenback side to know that, hey, this is the call. Get to that spot, and it's going to be a fight for that loose ball.
Right, absolutely, 100%. That's we teach them, like, hey, if we know we're pooching, get there, get to that spot, because they're either maybe going to fair catch it, they're not going to have a run. You want a hit stick opportunity, that's going to be your hit stick, or if the ball goes on the ground, then go get it, because especially in turf, when that ball hits, you don't know where it's going to bounce. We've seen them take off, bounce, take right, left, kick up, and so our kids did a good job. Christian was flying down there. He avoided the first line blocking and jumped right on it.
Now, talk about, you mentioned Creston Poor the night. He had able to connect with multiple receivers on the evening. He ended up finishing with 10 of 20 on the night, 245 yards, 5 touchdowns. That was a school record. Got it for the individual and then the team as well. 4 had been the record previously. So congrats to Creston Poor and the
Yeah.
Greenback offense there. But just talk about this point in the season, how good he's looking back there in the pocket for the Greenbacks.
Yeah, comfortable in decision making. And Creston can be the first to tell you, it's I'm harder on my quarterbacks. Demand a lot out of them, and Creston though has rose to that challenge. He's done such a good job of growing throughout his 4 years here of being a next play mentality guy. And when Creston is one of those guys, and early in the season we were struggling, we're like, man, we got to get it rolling because I see stuff every day. Creston will throw it 55 yards down the field and drop it in a bucket, and you're like, holy cow, that was an incredible throw. I mean, just jaw-dropping throws. When he gets warm, he's one of those rhythm and confidence guys. He started out 2 of 10, but then he went 8 of his final 10. And when he got in a rhythm, and I think one or both of those were drops, when he gets in a rhythm and he gets comfortable back there and sets his back foot, steps into a throw, he is a really, really good passer, really talented. He was reading the field really well, which that's the hardest part. And like I said, spreading the ball around. Caleb had a touchdown. Marley had 2 touchdowns. Cameron had a touchdown. Gavin had a touchdown. Kyler had a catch. Like, when he gets in that kind of rhythm, he's pretty dangerous, pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, and you mentioned his career and just how it's progressed. Likely, he's going to finish number 3 all time for Greenbacks in career passing yards. So when you think about the history of the Greenbacks and some of the quarterbacks that have gone through here, the offenses that have gone through here, to be up there in that top 5 or possibly top 3 conversation, pretty impressive for Creston Poor.
Yeah, and especially when you think about he doesn't get the volume that
Right.
a lot of people do throwing the ball. We threw it 20 times last game, and that's
Yeah, you're not
that's a
known
ton
for
us.
a pass heavy offense.
No, we are not. And we've thrown for more yards every single year that we've been in this offense. In 2021, we've just thrown for more and more yards every year, and a lot of that is Creston. And we throw more this year because Creston is so talented, and because I believe in him so much, and our receivers that we feel really comfortable saying, hey, we don't have to 4 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards. Like, Creston can go get us a chunk yardage.
Now, a lot of those passing yards come from the lack of pressure that offensive line provides him. You don't have a great quarterback and great stats and great numbers on the offensive side throwing the ball if you don't have the great big guys up front protecting you. That was an area coming into this season where we thought we'd have some question marks, see some new faces, some new names, and by all accounts has proven to have played really well there. That front 4, front 5 for the Greenbacks has done a great job in the second half of the season. They've kind of just found their way. Early on it was a matter of, I think, just learning the position, learning the role, and now at the right time they're really playing great football.
For sure. And then you talk about those guys, Josiah and Madden and Luke and Farmer and Augie, and then I thought those guys were incredible. Friday night they were blitzing, lots of heavy pressure, and then I thought a guy that we don't talk about enough, and we do on hit sticks, but had an incredible game blocking, sealing his guy off. We ask him to move a lot. He has the toughest assignments on the team, game after game, blocking in space, coming across formation. But Sebastian Beach was incredible Friday night. I mean, he blocked his tail off, never let his guy by him, and when he blocks like that, we're really tough.
Yeah, and you can see it just makes such a difference when Creston's able to step up into that pocket knowing that he's got protection and that you can step into that ball. Now, the targets that he's throwing to, you mentioned some of the touchdowns earlier. Boy, he's got a lot of options out there, and we've said it all season long. It is a luxury to have the athletes that the Greenbacks have, as you've got countless. I know if I try to name them, I'm going to forget a few, so I don't want to insult anybody by forgetting them. But that game Friday night, again, you mentioned it. Morrell had 5 catches, 122 and 2 touchdowns. Roop had a touchdown. Cameron Cock picked up his first touchdown of the season. Caleb Strong with a touchdown. Those were just the ones that scored touchdowns. There was multiple other that were catching passes from Poor also. So talk about that, just the amount of athletes that are out there in space and what they can do once they get the ball in that space.
Yeah, Hudson Titus, Kyler Barker, all those guys. Cade when he's back, we got a lot of guys that we want to get the ball. We feel really good if we can get the ball to them in the open field. We feel really good about what they're going to be able to do because they're tough to bring down one-on-one. On top of that, those guys have worked really, really hard. We've spent more time in practice by far this year running routes, working on cuts and routes and timing and spacing. And those guys have worked really hard at that, and they really understand what we want to do in terms of of with the looks we get because we're so run heavy. We get one high safety a lot, and they understand how to manipulate that and how to create some space there. And Creston's understanding of that has grown, exponentially. Of where do I look? Who's my progression key? And so those guys, it's when they start doing that and they get confident, they're really athletic. They're really fun.
All right, now let's get to the defensive side of the ball. Defense able to hold Chaparral, 205 total yards on the night. 8 total tackle for losses for that defensive front four. Josiah Schmidt leading the way with two and a half of them. Morrell, 10 tackles and 1.5 tackle for loss, 1 INT. He had a great night defensively. But it starts again. When you're able to have that collective pressure up front, it frees up Morrell to do what he does.
For sure, and we've talked about so much Madden, Leon, Bash when he went in, those guys and our linebackers. Luke is such an unsung hero for us. Does so many things, takes great angles, always in the right spot. Luke is so often that he doesn't have near as many tackles as he could because those guys see him and he's in their face and they cut back into Josiah, Arlie, all of those guys. I thought our DNs though, Josiah and Arlie, played exceptionally well the other night. Don't talk enough about Josiah, how tough he is. We've talked, I know off air, you've seen the pictures of his hand last week that needed 14 total stitches between the muscle and the skin. He's just a tough
miss
kid.
A beat.
No, he's not going to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's as tough as they come. Arlie is growing every week, and we. Be honest, we kind of said to ourselves, man, they keep, and Josiah was like, they kept trying to throw hitches to Arlie's side. I was wondering when they were going to throw to my side because he knocked every one of them down.
He was knocking them down with his elbows.
Yeah. And that's a luxury to have, helps your pass defense when they can't throw short a lot of times because he's so tall and does such a good job of timing his jump. So I thought those guys were wrecking machines, and they were trying to run off tackle all game, and they just couldn't get anything going, and that's credit to them.
Yeah, it was another great night for the Greenbacks. Let's get to some awards now. Player awards for us in the press box. Artemis Electric Player of the Game. This was a co-award. Man, when you see some of the stats we saw on the offensive side, came through the air, and oftentimes it takes more than one person to be able to do that. The combination of Poor and Morrell, they pulled in our Timish Electric Player of the Game the night they had, again, Creston Poor, 245 yards, 5 touchdowns, the school record, and a lot of those going to Morrell. As 2 of those touchdowns, 5 catches, and 122 yards. And then you take Morrell's defensive night, almost tipped the scale there, but we thought, what a perfect night to hand out a co-award. If you're ever going to do it, that was the night to do it.
Yeah, and you're like, again, we do offense and defense. Yep. So for us, Creston got our offensive, like you said, 5 touchdown school record, and doing it on a bad ankle, toughen it out. And that's one underrated part is how tough Creston was on Friday night. So we gave him offense, and then Arlie was just so impactful defensively. He was everywhere. Like you said, interception, batting balls down, getting tackles for loss, doing all of it. He got our defensive player of the game. Special teams, again, Levi's always been solid all year, but Christian has shown hustling down there, making the most. We talk about all those guys, when you get your opportunity to play, when we can get some older kids rest, go make the most of it. Go make a play that impacts the game. And Christian did that. That was huge. So he got our special teams player of the week. And then our scout team player of the week is Dustin Winter. And Dustin's a kid that's really talented. We're trying to get him to understand how talented he can be. But he's done a good job of growing every week to getting in all the time, wanting to get better, playing, and he plays hard and gives us a good look. So he was our scout team player of the week.
All right, our Mead Lumber hit stick of the night. We gave ours to Cameron Cox. I think I had 4 of them written down there in the press box of ones I saw throughout the game. As this was a game, there was no lack of choices when it came to the hit stick of the week. Cameron Cox, the gunner on one of our punts, got down there just in time, and it was one of those ones, open field, easy for us to see, as oftentimes we're missing them as they're in a pile of people. So that one, we thought, man, Cameron Cox took home our Mead Lumber hit stick of the night.
Yeah, and that was a very good one. Cameron's was really, really good, and
again, we're not on the same page again.
Well, we have the benefit of hindsight, but it was, us coaches talked about it, and I always have my coaching staff vote on it. There were legitimately 5 or 6 hit sticks that were like, man, we would have felt good with that hit. I thought that was the hardest our kids hit all year. Cameron's, Levi had one, a kid in the flat. Hudson Titus had one, and a kid in the flat. Madden absolutely just hammered a kid in pass pro, one of those you don't see. But then we gave our hit stick to Josiah Schmidt. He came across, and one of the great things about it, he was the backside defensive end on a bubble. Didn't give up on the play, came running across, kid cut back one of those dream shots right into him, and he really tattooed him. So Josiah got it, and he wanted me to point out that, for everything Owen got, Owen never got a hit stick, and now Josiah has a hit stick. So,
well, there you go,
yeah.
Owen. Take that.
Yeah, that's right.
As there is never a lack of competition in that household.
Never.
All right, moving on to Hugoton, a round 2 matchup against a team that you've seen a little more often than the past records of the Greenbacks. It's a team that the Greenbacks had some early on matchups with back when I played ball, took a break there, and then picked up again. You've played them, I believe, 3 times in your career here as a Greenback coach, and but it'll be a good matchup. Same record. Hugoton comes into this ballgame 8-1. Their only loss to the undefeated Holcomb out west. They're also defeated Collegiate last week, 35-20. So we do have a common opponent there. But at this point in the season, boy, you talk second round of the playoffs, playing a team like that, there are no easy matchups around the state, and you can't expect them either. This is, you play who's in front of you, and may the best team win.
Right, and you talked about there's no easy matchups, especially in 3A in the West. Like, we talked about this. If you look at all of the power rankings, whether it's the Massey ratings, Max Preps, the power, they take all the strength schedule, all that in, they're all consistently 8 of the 9 top teams in 3A are in the West. And so the West is a gauntlet. Every team is a top 5 quality team, and Hugoton is a really good football team, really well coached. They do things the right way. They play really fast. Their quarterback is special. I mean, he is probably the toughest kid I've seen all year to bring down. Just has great contact balance, keeps his feet, always falls forward. So does their fullback. Got some great receiving threats, physical up front. It is going to be a very physical game. Both of us like to impose our will and wear down the other team. I think both teams take pride in that. So it's going to be a matter of who can get off the ball up front, who plays fundamentally sound, and who tackles well.
Yeah, and talk about how big of a factor it is to have that game at home, to play well throughout the season, take that top seed to where you're able to get this second round matchup here at Zerger Field.
Well, it's huge. First of all, our crowd is always awesome, and I know it's going to be great tomorrow night. I think our kids are comfortable playing here. We haven't lost at Zerger the last 2 years. Knock on wood, hope that continues. Our kids play really well. I think that just the travel, having to get on the bus and go 3 hours, it's harder. And you're on unfamiliar circumstances, different locker room, different pregame routine because of the field, all of this stuff. So I think that benefits us. Our kids have worked really hard to earn that. We're excited to go out there. We know it's probably going to be our last game this year on Zerger, and that's why I told the kids try to go out the right way.
Yep, it should be a great one. Friday night here, playoff football on Kansas Friday night. You can't beat that. Before we get out here, Coach, I want to give you a chance, and the chance also, congratulations to cross country, as Cam, your daughter, and the boys also went to state last week. We didn't talk about them leading up to that in last week's show. So talk a little bit about the boys and girls in cross country. As I mentioned, your daughter, a senior on that team, and great success this year as both teams able to place, and some individual medalists as well.
And Carlito and Tara both placed individually in the top 20, which is incredibly hard to do at that meet. I mean, it is the competition, I think, in cross country just gets better and better every year. Was blessed to be able to go watch it. Obviously, Cameron's done it for 4 years, and she was so dang excited this year to have a team to go with her, and that was a lot of fun for us to be able to cheer on the whole team, both boys and girls. We got 7th at state, placed in the top 8, so that was really awesome. It's a tough sport. If you haven't been to Wamego on that course, it is tough. It is quick turns. It is up and down hills, long hills. I mean, they got to be tough to do that sport, and Coach Hitz does a great job with them. So it was a lot of fun, bittersweet, watching, how that is, watching your daughter end her career in a sport that she's put a lot into the last 4 years. But it was a great experience, and really proud of our kids, and those kids work really hard in the weight room, practice, and everywhere else.
Well, congratulations to those Greenbacks. Always neat to see them do well at a state meet like that. All right, Friday night, Zerger Field, 7 o'clock, Pratt versus Hugoton. You said it. Let's do it. All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.